Hello and welcome everyone, it's Shanna. Now today I'm back with another Spellbinders Club. We have got the stitching club. It's called the Butterfly Dance. And it has a butterfly and it has some like cloud border, and it's got some flowers that look like, I don't know, daisies or purple cone flowers or black-eyed Susans. They're kind of shaped like that. I've got the gold metallic thread from Spellbinders, and I've already got my card base here. I've got a blue panel that we're going to use for our sky and a couple of panels of clouds that I have used the cloud die to create a border on them. And then I've got one of the embossed, or actually glimmered, sentiments from a previous day's make, in which I glimmered another, actually the press and foil kit. So I'm just going to get all my pieces and we're going to get to assembling this. We're going to do some stitching here. I'm going to show part of it and then I'll do some of it off camera. I've got kind of a wide needle there. In fact, I think this one might be too wide and I wind up switching it out. But what I'm doing right now is I'm just poking out all of those stitched holes because it'll be so much easier to seat a stitch if I have that cardstock out of there. So I'm just going to grab some of this gold thread here from Spellbinders, and we're going to use it. And I've got all of my pieces that I cut out there. I've got my butterfly, I've got my florals, my leaves, my stems, and everything is ready to go. And so what I'm going to do is just pull this through. This is when I realized that this needle is too thick. I've been doing a lot of different embroidery type and stitching type things, and I've got a wide variety of needles. So I'm just going to put this one back and grab another one that has kind of a smaller head on it, but one that still has a big enough eye hole that I can thread that up fairly easy. So this thread, or I don't know, it's quite a bit thicker than others, so I still need a pretty good eye to poke that through there. Anyway, we're going to get this threaded and then we're going to start stitching. And what I like to do so that I don't have to have a knot on the back of mine is I'll put some double-sided tape on the back of my cardstock, and then I can just attach my end to that, and then I won't have to worry about tying a knot so that I don't have a bump behind my die cut piece. So this is the other piece of the butterfly. I was just popping those out as well. So we're just going to get started. I'm going to start at the bottom, and I'm going to just put some double-sided tape on there, and then we will just adhere the thread to that, and then I won't have to worry about a knot. So I'm just going to give it a good press, and then we'll remove the release paper, and then I'll have something to stick it to. I'm just going to grab my pick tool and get it released. And now we're ready to start stitching. And I will speed the stitching up because it does take, a minute to do the stitching, and you probably don't want to sit and watch me fuss with it for that long. So I will speed it up. I think I'll stitch the other piece off camera too and actually come back in, and then we'll do the assembly of our card. So I did speed several elements of this up just so that this wouldn't be a real long video and we could get through it. But I do enjoy the stitching dies, and so when they asked me what clubs I wanted this year, they offered me the Stitch Club, and I said yes, I would like that one as well. So that way I'll do a little bit of stitching. Now I know I've seen some videos where some people have used this set and not done the stitching, and you can certainly do that. But if you like to stitch, you can certainly stitch it up. And I thought with this dark oceanside cardstock, the gold would just really pop off of there. And I'm working with all of my club kits kind of on different videos, and I'm kind of bringing this ocean side back in so that I'll kind of have a collection of cards from this club that'll all kind of match, and that's kind of what I'm doing with my clubs this month. So I'm just, going, now I'm doing the circle on the top of the butterfly, and I'm just going in and out of there and into the different holes. Just you go in the center and then up to the top and then back to the center and then to the next one, and you just kind of go around, and that's how I do it. So I'm going to cut that off, and then actually I guess I had the long end where I started that I cut off, and now I'm just going to finish this off, and we've got it all stitched, and now we're ready to glue the decorative piece. Now this die is interesting. It'll take you a minute to figure out because there are three pieces to it, and one of them cuts out the centers and one of them presses the centers. So you're going to want to use the one that presses the centers for the stitching, and then this piece you're going to want to use with the outer die so it'll cut around it. And I believe that's how I did it. Anyway, so I'm going to give it a good press, and there's the top portion of it. And we've got it all assembled and it's ready to go. We've got our gold floss in there, and I went off camera and I stitched the other one, and we're just going to get it assembled as well. And then we've got the big elements of our butterfly ready to go. And I went ahead and cut like the body of the butterfly out with the same dark oceanside cardstock from Spellbinders. Instead of bringing in black, I thought, well, it's dark enough, we'll just make the body be out of that. So I've got this tray here, and this is a tray that I got at the dollar store, and I just have all my bits and pieces there. And the butterfly's body comes in two pieces, the body and one antenna, and then a separate one so that you can kind of angle them however you need to angle them. And I'm just going to get them assembled on there. And then each of these body pieces kind of have that circle spot there at the tip, and you can just lay the butterfly's body right on there and just kind of line it up. You can position your wings however close or far apart you want, and then add a dab of glue to add the body. And I think I'm going to have to use my tweezers to stick them because I'm not really being patient enough to wait for the glue to adhere. I'm kind of moving right along, and so I'll decide to just grab everything with my tweezers, get everything lined up, and then pinch it and then lay it aside and let it dry. And now we're going to get on to assembly of our flowers. And I really think these look like purple coneflowers or black-eyed Susans a little bit more than I think daisies. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the description box. I did look on the packaging. Not the packaging. I don't get the packaging. I went on to the Spellbinders site, and a lot of times I look at it to see the dimensions and stuff, and it'll tell you what it is. But I didn't see where they actually named these flowers on there. So anyway, it doesn't matter. You can make them whatever you want them to be. But I could definitely see the centers being brown and the leaves, the floral, the petals being bright yellow and it looking like a black-eyed Susan. And additionally, you could make it purple and it would certainly look like a purple coneflower as well. And I suppose if you used white, you could certainly make it look more like a daisy. I just chose these colors because I'm following kind of the same color scheme that I used in my other club kits, and these are colors that I used, and so I'm just kind of continuing on that path with my other kits as I work with them. So I'm just getting this kind of the cone part of the flower, and we're getting all these bits laid on there. I didn't think you needed to see me glue all 5 of them down, but I wanted to show you this. There are some extra leaves that you can die cut out in a lighter or darker color and kind of have either a highlight or a shaded petal. And so I chose to use the lighter cardstock that I had, and I'm going to add them to just a couple of them, and we'll have some highlights on a couple of them. And I decided to die cut 5 of these out and assemble them, and I wasn't sure if I'd have enough room on my card to get all of them on there, but we're going to. We'll be able to fit them all in there and get them laid down nicely. So I'm just going to add the rest of these little bits. Now in my tray there, I've got all the leaves, and those die cut out individually. And I've got a couple of sentiments there, and then I've got an extra piece, an extra circle that I don't know what that is, but anyway, we'll get all of our leaves, and we're going to get them assembled. I'll assemble a couple of them, and then I don't know that I make you watch them all. They are a bit fussy because those stems are so thin. You want to get the leaves positioned just right and barely on that stem so that they don't look weird. So I'm going to try and fuss with them quite a bit and just get that tip on there. It might have been easier to kind of glue them to your card base and then add your stem to it later, but this is kind of how it comes together. And so there, I just kind of fast forwarded so you wouldn't have to watch me fuss with all 5 of those and get them assembled. And I'm going to get the last one on here. I think I struggle a little bit with it. It gets stuck to my finger. So we'll just pinch it. There we go. So I'm going to get all these aside, and I've got glue all over this desktop. So I'm going to pause and get this cleaned off, and then we'll come back in. So I just took some alcohol and sprayed it on my desktop and used a paper towel and cleaned it all up. And I took that blue panel and I embossed it with the embossing folder of the month. And we're going to get it laid down on here. And it's just going to add a little bit of extra interest to our card. And then we'll get our clouds laid down. And I had a couple of scraps, and I thought, well, let's use these scraps, and we'll just use that cloud die that is included in the set, and just do kind of a couple of layers and just layer it up and just kind of make it look a little bit more interesting. And so I chose to make one a little bit lower than the other one, and we'll just layer them. And I thought I'll bring in some foam tape because it'll create a little bit of shadow underneath our layers of clouds. And so I'm just going to use these foam strips that I have and get them laid down on there, and it'll just add a little bit of extra detail to the card. So we're into the new year now. We had a wonderful Christmas season, and we had fun. We had a fun New Year's party where we played games and ate a bunch of junk. And then last night we actually had a little pizza party with my parents and my brother and my oldest sister. And it was super fun. We played aggravation, and we got started before my brother got there, so we didn't have an even number for teams, so we played a couple rounds, and the boys just skunked us. And then when my brother got there and we set the teams up, the girls won a couple of rounds, and then the boys won a round, and so then we quit because we were done at that point. But we had pizza and breadsticks and everything, and my mom had made some molasses cookies, and they were so good. We enjoyed those. And then we just sat and talked for the longest time, and it got to be, I don't know, it was probably 11 or so, and I was like, we need to go home. Of course, we live right next door to them, so all we had to do was walk across the yard, so it wasn't a big deal. But anyway, I'm just getting all these florals positioned and trying to make sure that I've got room, for that large butterfly, and then also keeping in mind that I'm going to have a sentiment to add to it. So I'm going to just kind of make some of them taller and some of them shorter, and just kind of cluster them on here and just fill in a lot of this space. I think it turns out to be really pretty. I like the color selection. I think these colors do pair well nice together. And you've kind of got like, a light and a dark, and it kind of helps them to pop. So I'm just gluing these up. I'm going to glue these 3 down, and then I'll pop up the other 2 that I'm going to kind of tuck down lower and just fill in that space there. And then we'll wind up just trimming the stems off. So I did this card before I went to that pizza party, and I had it all recorded and everything and just all put together, and I think I even took the pictures and everything. And then Pat's like, it's time to go, because we had ordered the pizza, and then we went and picked it up and then just carried it into their house. And so I just left this lay, and I thought, well, I'll do the voiceover the next day. Well, right now we actually took our granddaughter out to lunch, and we celebrated Christmas with her because she was gone during Christmas, and so we were able to celebrate Christmas with her. And when we got back to the house, she just wanted to stay and hang out, and her brothers were coming as well. So Pat went and got them, and so I have all 3 of them right now, and they're all napping. I think the holidays has kind of tuckered them out. Plus, I have my youngest daughter's dogs, and the kids were just running, chasing the dogs for hours. So I think that wore them out. So everybody's asleep. I think Pat's probably even napping in there as well. And so I thought, well, now's a good time to just kind of go in the other room and just make a quick voiceover while everyone's asleep and I have a few peaceful moments. So I'm going to let that flower hang off that one side. I think it'll be fine, but I did trim everything else that was pretty much hanging off. Now we're just going to position our butterfly, and I think I want it kind of lit on this one flower, like it has landed on there. But I've got to keep in mind my sentiment and figure out how I'm going to put it on there. So I'm going to bring in some more of those foam pieces and just kind of position it in a couple spots on the back of this, and then get it laid down. Now the back of it doesn't look gorgeous because I've got all that double-sided tape on there. I've even got a piece in which I didn't remove the backer paper, just kind of holding those threads down in place. But unless they rip my butterfly off, they'll never know. So I'm going to grab my sentiment and kind of figure out how can I position this to make it fit And so I'm thinking up top, but then once I get everything laid down, I'll kind of lay it over my florals and just kind of tuck it in there, and I think it winds up looking very nice. And I'm really pleased with it. I think it's really pretty. I like the light and the dark paired together, and having that little bit of white on there just kind of gives it more of a clean look. So we'll just clean off my mess and I'll give you a quick look. Now, I did take a picture of it so you can see a close-up of it. If you like it, consider hitting the like button. If you haven't subscribed, I'd love to have you join. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.